Part 7.
Books equals search results. Item, person, title, Kagami Sana. Unknown, unknown, unknown.
Shinobu starts to panic because no matter how many times she searches, she can't find any info on Kagami-sana. Not even a single grain of sand's worth. Sana herself tells Shinobu to calm down, referring to herself as One-chan, saying that it's okay and she can just take a deep breath with her. It doesn't help though, as Shinobu's anxiety has reached its peak. She knows she has to do something, but she can't seem to force herself to react. Sana notes that she must be really surprised, since she was trying to surprise her, and it was a big success. She'll take another round, ma'am. And here is why the people from Hokkaido will burst out into laughter. At this moment, Yamada decides to radio in to Shinobu, pretending to be Otacon from Metal Gear, but she still can't move. Yamada notes that it seems he's being ignored and goes off on a blabbering rant that Shinobu still can't bring herself to respond to. He finally gives up and passes the communicator off to A54, who asks Shinobu what's wrong. A54, are you here? You called? His voice is nearby. A54 was, of course, standing just behind Kagami-sana. I'm here too! The large body jiggling as it came was Yamada-san. Ah! Something within me clicked into place. So that's it. So that's how it was? Everything. From the beginning. Ah, seems like she's realized it. A very un-Yamada-like smile took hold of his pudgy features. That's right. I'm a weird old man. I guess there's no point in continuing with this. Kind of a shame, it was pretty fun. The moment after saying that, Yamada-san disappeared, leaving the imposter Byakuya-sama in his place. I wasn't surprised, I was just too exhausted to act. So that's how it was. Everything from the beginning. The urge to sleep came over me. For about 3 seconds I was wondering how they would react if I were to suddenly go to sleep now. Hey you, how long are you going to stay in that disguise? When the imposter said that in Byakuya-sama's voice, A54's body began to tremble and shake. Before long, it spread to his entire body and his form gave way under its own weight like a watery jello. From the syrupy melted remains of A54 emerged a very small girl. She stood up slowly and dusted off her knees, lifted her head gradually and assumed a forced pose. Ta-da! I'm Despair High School level dual personality Kagami Naomi. Like before, Borgs can't pull any info on Naomi, though this time it's what Shinobu was expecting. She only searched just in case. Instead, Shinobu stares at the 3 Despair High Schoolers until Sagashi asks her if there's something she wants to say. You're Togami Kazuya, aren't you? I'm not nice enough to answer that directly. Of course, Kazuya wasn't a nice person. Were you afraid? Sometimes a man's jealousy and purity is even more terrifying than a woman's. Shinobu says that if he plans to affirm himself, she'll get nauseous, but Sagashi tells her to go right ahead. Shinobu asks why Sagashi made the Despair High School, but he says that he can't answer that, or rather, that it's already been answered. Then Sagashi turns to Sana, says that the truth has been presented to the reader since the very beginning, which Shinobu interprets as him acting as if they're in a mystery novel. Sana tells Shinobu that the Despair High School deceives and kills people, but they don't lie. They're very dedicated to fair play. Just like another committee from another spin-off. Shinobu argues that if they're admitting to the deception killing, then there's nothing fair about it. But Sana counters that it's just the difference of direction. A deceptive trick that's on the same level as a bureaucratic essay to her, but there are probably some readers who would appreciate it. Shinobu has no idea what she's talking about, apparently the only one in the room unable to see the shattered remains of the 4th wall. She cuts to the chase, asking if they're after the Kudan. Is that why they also made this Despair novel? Sagashi tut-tuts and says that she should already know that Hope's Peak is the one that made the Despair novel. Shinobu accuses them of putting it to bad use, but Sagashi argues that it's the fault of the people who read the book, not them. The readers are like addicts, so as long as they're unsatisfied, they won't be able to run from their addiction. Sana says that they should head back to the room and come over to take Shinobu by the shoulder. When Shinobu asks what room she means, Sana answers that she means the one with the pervert nun who likes to dress in a lady's clothes, of course. There's no way to escape either. Don't forget that this convent is under the Despair High School's power. They all head back to the room, Shinobu mentally willing Togami to get away somehow. Sagashi seems to be relishing in her suffering, and with a smile he throws open the door. The room is empty. They look in and see that the bed, table, cross on the wall and satellite phone are all still there, but Togami is nowhere to be found. Hey, what is this? Explain. That's so weird. Did you forget to lock the door? Even if I did forget, the door is controlled by an electronic lock. It locks automatically. It's broken from the outside. The girl called Kagami Naomi had doubled over her small body even more to inspect the doorknob. I'm out of the bet. I will be the victor. A completely unexpected voice reached us and we all looked up. In the hallway, Celeste-san and Yamada-san guarding him stood Byakuya-sama. In the hallway, the real Celeste-san and the real Yamada-san were guarding him. Byakuya-sama stood there. At some point, he had changed back into the black tuxedo. Did you enjoy your sense of superiority, Despair High School? Now it's time for hope. Now, be crushed under the weight of your despair, and disappear. As always, Byakuya-sama put a finger to his glasses. Part 8. Celeste-san and Yamada-san? Huh? How? Togami-kun, your sister appears to be extremely confused. Celeste-san offered me a look of pity. I take it you didn't explain. I didn't explain anything. To deceive your enemies, begin with your allies. She is making a face like a pigeon who was just shot by a pea shooter. That's the face she always makes, so it's appropriate. Huh, you must be shocked, Celeste-san. Please be at ease. I am the real Celeste. Of course, I don't even need to preface this. But I too am the real thing. Not two-dimensional or a knockoff. Yamada-san posed. You, Togami-kun's imposter. Celeste-san turned her red eyes on the imposter. Why did you disguise yourself as Yamada-kun and myself? Togami-kun has plenty of other classmates. Motive, ability to take action, financial wherewithal. Judging from these things, you were chosen as people who could appear in the Czech Republic under these circumstances, and it would not seem unnatural. Also, Yamada-san was necessary to hide my body type properly. Mr. Impostor, your guess was right on the mark. We really did come. I used my own winnings, and we flew here to the Czech Republic. Of course, after Togami-kun is saved, I expect to be compensated. I felt the situation flip around. I felt despair turn into hope. Your luck runs out here, Byakuya-sama said, a cruel smile crossing his face. Die. I'm not a fan of action films, but if it's darts or cards, that is my speciality. Go! No one has ever survived getting hit by my flabbuster. Let's go, sans sweet potato fries. Oh, oops, I made a mistake. I meant to say, let's go without carelessness. Celeste-san and Yamada-san, standing on either side of Byakuya-sama, looked ready for war. Uh-oh. Naomi-chan looked back and realized that the hallway behind her was open. She took off in that direction with a leisurely speed. Where are you planning to go, young lady? Suddenly, a wall appeared. A wall of muscle. The super high school level martial artist, Sakura Ogami. Ogami-san! I yelled without thinking. You're alive? You got out of that minefield? If you think about it, I have conditioned myself so that even if I step on a landmine, I'll sustain no injury. Ah, I see. Ogami-san, known both in and out of the school as the ogre, feared by all, made Naomi-chan retreat through the wheel alone. Once done, she moved at a speed too fast to measure to stand behind Byakuya-sama. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, hey, listen for a sec. Let me join in too. Inside the room, the satellite phone was kicking up a fuss. As if it were his job to mind the battery, Yamada-san spontaneously went to retrieve it and turned on the screen towards us. Alright, Enoshima Junko-chan once again appears to take the stage, and the readers faint in agony. Oh, my bad. On screen, Enoshima-san was sticking out her tongue cutely as if she were a Peko-chan doll. There it was, with Byakuya-sama at the center, a brilliant, glimmering hope. Ah, this was the Hope's Academy's 78th class. Facing up against them, the Despair High School. Mr. Genuine Article, tell me one thing. When did you realize? I knew since the beginning, from the moment I saw A54's face. How? I could tell you, but you wouldn't like the answer. How? I'm not even sure why I realized it myself. Huh? Togami explains that he isn't really sure of what tipped him off, but he just knew from the beginning that no one was the real thing. No one has anything to say to that, and Togami tells Sagashi not to make that dissatisfied face. He told him he wouldn't like the answer. Sagashi is getting increasingly upset, demanding to know where he went wrong. Did he make a mistake? Was the inexperience his downfall? Or is Togami just flat out better than him? Ah, duh, it's because they're all friends, isn't it? The answer came from Enoshima-san. Listen up, Oinki-chan, you're like petty. Don't know how to put it, you're like paranoid, you reek of pork soup and you walk carbs, but anyway, compared to you, Togami believes in his friends. Friends? Looks like that you're some kind of ringleader or something, and you're working hard to try to drag everyone around, but that's not believing in your friends. But Togami looks like he believes in his friends, and by friends I mean classmates. Believing in your friends. Huh. Togami believes, you don't. That's the problem, isn't it? Togami-san nodded. Togami is that kind of man. With this beautiful, trusting relationship before me, I estimate my urge to create has increased 20%. Please allow me to issue no comment. I will refrain from joining in on the current discussion of trust and reliance. But because someone might not trust me, I will not lie. Believe in your friends? Do not believe in your friends. Boring choices you can find anywhere. Ordinary choices that you could see at work or school. Until today, I probably never felt so reassured by something so plain.
Logs equals search result number 665900012. Item emotions sentiments. Title Nakama. Definition: people with whom you experience things. Comrades with whom you share trust, reliance, and solidarity. Accomplices or partners.
Togami asks if they're done joking around, and his eyes narrowing in disgust, and explains that the real reason he wasn't taken in was because Togami doesn't get fooled twice. Sagashi showed his corpulent form to Togami too many times. It was inevitable that Togami would learn to watch for it. You are Togami Byakuya. Togami scoffs, saying that Sagashi is finally admitting it. That's not right. He, and only he, is Togami Byakuya. Sagashi's been nothing but an imposter from start to finish. Togami will soon solve the mystery of the Despair novel, and it's only a matter of time until the world bends down to him and calls him their king. It's only a matter of time until Sagashi and the others disappear. Sagashi scoffs at this, saying that Togami hasn't done jack shit since he got to the Czech Republic. He's had his buddies run around doing the work for him while he's kicked back and done nothing. Togami, however, doesn't see this as a problem. The actual action is the work of the stupid masses, is it not? Shinobu muses that Togami isn't rejecting hard work, and in fact probably believes that anyone who doesn't work their hardest doesn't deserve to live. Togami doesn't take a role in things. He is just always there at the top. Reasoning, fighting, action, etc. are all just silly jobs that children would be pleased to do, so it's fine to delegate them to people around him. It's why Togami isn't a detective, a soldier, or a tactician. Togami Byakuya is a god. Meanwhile, Togami is still talking, saying that he sees how desperately Sagashi is struggling. But it won't do him any good against Togami. He's not Togami Byakuya. He's just a mere swine, working his hardest. Sagashi is not taking this well, which is to be expected since he's getting lectured by Togami. Shinobu lovingly describes how his face is flushed and he's sweating what looks like pork soup, and she notes that if he stays this angry he might die. Sagashi announces that it's not over. Sana and Naomi appearing once again. "Make them scream with glee," Sagashi says. The first to move was Sana-chan. Just like before, she reached up to her head and tore everything off. She pulled off her hair and her skin, shedding every aspect that made up Sana-chan and discarding it on the floor. Everything that made her Kagami-sana was stripped away. What appeared was a new girl. The girl had flashy coloured hair and was clad in a Despair High School uniform, complete with black tights that had been ripped up in a punkish fashion. "What's up? It's Despair High School level light music club member, Ibuki Miota!" Next up, Naomi-chan's body began to tremble and shake. Before long, it spread to her entire body, and her form gave way under its own weight like watery jello. What appeared was a strange being. They were, of course, wearing Despair High School uniform. But what stood out were the long scarf, bandaged arms, and makeup reminiscent of a certain band. "Mwahahaha! Tremble in fear! It is I, enemy of humanity, the terrible and unfortunate Despair High School level breeder, Gundam Tanaka." Unfortunately, I recognized both of them. They were both Hope's Peak students, both in my year. Again my classmates were acting out. Had they been tainted by despair like Sonia and Soda-san? Had they become part of the imposters group, antagonistic towards Byakuya-sama? Why? Why did this happen? Why didn't anyone tell me? Hey, why? "So, Ibuki's gonna explain." For some reason, Miura-san jumped. "Kagami-sana and Kagami Naomi are just aliases. Those girls never existed in this world. They're just fiction. Material fiction." "Wahahaha! Blue Ink, I visit even further despair on you." Tanaka-san took over. "The Hasegawa Institute too is nothing more than a fabrication summoned from another dimension. What you have been fighting is not the Hasegawa Institute, but rather a pharmaceutical company known as the Kasamori Drug Manufacturers. Those two that claim to be from the Katoin conglomerate are fake too. Ibuki and the others haven't figured out who they really are yet, but yeah." I was about to fall over, my brain unable to take this parade of truths and lies, everything. Everything since we got to the Czech Republic had been nothing but lies. It was really circle. It was actually triangle. Everything had been nothing but lies. Why all these lies? The understandable question left my lips. "Ibuki doesn't care about other musicians' directions, but you aren't any different than Ibuki and company, are you? This is a made-up story, and we're all imposters." You're about to say that's a lie too, but to put it simply, we aren't in equal value to the real things. "That's how it is, Togami." Tanaka-san glared at Byakuya-sama. "Time has passed. There are no longer any real versions here. I don't plan to cling to the idea of real versions and continue on with pointless toil. No matter how much you speak of your substance, no matter how much you try to verify that you are real, once I have appeared, it is your destiny to lose." "Are you finished?" Byakuya-sama asked. Byakuya-sama was completely unfazed. "I have no interest in your theories of realness, and I have even less interest in the weather in Totori Prefecture a week from now. The reason is because Byakuya Togami will never end. So long as I exist, as I do, I will not allow you to do as you like. I will fit about you before your eyes until you're all tired of it. And if that doesn't please you, then let's settle this right now, shall we?" Then he made a declaration. "The curtain now rises on Hope's Peak Academy versus Despair High School." Part 9. The curtain closed suddenly after. I felt the ground rumble in a way I'd never experienced before. The dust fell from the ceiling. At first, I thought someone had dropped a satellite on us. I thought the imposter had dropped it, but I hadn't given the order to do anything. The imposter had a confused expression on his face. Kasumori drug manufacturers under the guise of the Hasegawa Institute crossed my mind, and next thought was of the assassins who had gathered in the Czech Republic to hunt Byakuya-sama. All my predictions were completely off. Turns out that the rumbling was the footsteps of a huge number of people. Togami tells everyone that they have a temporary truce, at least till they find out what's going on, and Sakushi agrees, saying that he is about to say the same thing. So the 9 Hope's Peak and Despair High students, including Junko on the phone, group up and head outside the convent. The village is in the middle of a huge stir, to put it lightly. It looks like everyone who lives in the area is out, to the point where there isn't even anywhere to step. It's so crowded, Shinobu thinks for a moment that the demonstrations from Prague must have spread here. But then she sees everyone is yelling at each other, punching each other, killing each other, and being killed by each other. No matter how you look at it, these are the symptoms of the despair disease. Now that's strange, isn't it? This shouldn't be happening. To come down with the despair, you have to read the despair novel first, and Shinobu hasn't heard anything about it being translated into Czech. Of course, Borgs has been a little slow in delivering info as of late, but even so, it's difficult to accept logically that this big riot could not have occurred in such a short amount of time. There couldn't be another reason, could there? There's an explosion in the crowd and a bunch of people go flying, accompanied by the report of gunshots. Shinobu muses that the assassins after them got caught up in the fuss, but their attempts to hold back the crowd do very little to stop it. The wave of flesh approached, poised to devour the convent. How strange, Byakuya-sama murmured. When were these people infected? It takes up to 24 hours for the disease to set in after reading that novel. Upon saying that, he glanced at the imposter beside him. You can't control it. From the moment the words Despair novel were born, no one could stop it. In a way, it produced results beyond Hope's Peak imagined. Ah, they're getting closer, Yamada-san screamed. I don't think anything of the 3rd day of Comiket, but the proportion of paper bag ownership is too low. Now, for your information, the 3rd day of Comiket is when all the hardcore hentai comes out. The tide of humanity approached, and when they eventually reached out from the convent, they first sprang at Yamada-san. Yeah, for some reason they're coming after me, so please help. But the feeling of you rubbing on me is pleasant. It feels nice to be stepped on. Insert phrase of pleasure. The satellite phone dropped to the ground. The screen broke and Enoshima disappeared. Hey, hey, you better... the hell over there. I can't... And I said hi, even though what should I do? Can you hear me? Can you hear my voice? I wonder if the wires got crossed. The voice had changed to a different girl. I am the super high school level. I'll speak with the assumption that you can hear me. Togami-kun, listen to me. The Despair novel does not actually exist as a physical object. The Hope's Peak Academy has something dreadful. Crack. Trampled, the satellite phone had become nothing more than scrap parts. The villagers were advancing forward. We retreated. They cornered us. Huh? Was this where it ended? I thought that at the very least, the last thing I should see was Byakuya-sama. Yet the villagers had firmly taken hold of my head, arms and legs, and flooded into every open space. So this was how my life ended. The only thing left was despair. Coda. The Who. A spotlight fell from the gloomy sky. As if God were descending from heaven, several more columns of brilliant, white light dropped down. Realizing they were bathed in light, the villagers seemed to be enraged by the insolent brilliance. A low groan rumbled through the crowd. It was as if the villagers were roaring. Divine punishment was simple. Just indifferent, merciless machine gun fire. The villagers struck by bullets died. As so many easy deaths piled up, the value of life dropped dramatically, and they just died, without a chance to object. One could say that God was not forgiving the complaints against him. A large fleet of helicopters appeared in the sky. They too were firing their machine guns. It was raining bullets. We slipped into the shadow of the convent, fleeing the mad rain. I realized my leg had been stepped outside, and the moment I pulled it back in panic, the spot where it had just been struck was machine gun fire. When the rain of death finally ended, I peered out. The villagers had all been exterminated. They lay on the ground, like the embodiment of the phrase, "I'll make Swiss cheese out of you." Their faces and chests. No, their entire bodies had been thoroughly riddled with bullets, and were now being shined upon by spotlights. Corpses ahead, corpses behind, corpses no matter where you looked. Children's corpses, young people's corpses, elderly corpses, corpses of people whose age and gender were unclear, heaps of corpses in all directions, corpses as far as the eye could see. Although they had caught the despair disease, although no one had found a way to deal with it, this was nothing but a slaughter. Even with all the excessive death before me, I wasn't angry or sad. It wasn't that my feelings were paralyzed. I was filled with several emotions, but in regards to the existence of whoever caused this death, I felt no impulse to express how I felt. My anger or sadness would never reach them anyway. If they could, this death would have never taken place to begin with. I lifted my eyes from the fields of death and looked towards the sky. A flock of circling helicopters were as numerous enough to inspire shock and disgust that so many had dared to gather here. As I knew from my recent experience in a dogfight, we probably looked like nothing more than a dollhouse to them. There were snipers at the ready on the deck, their red laser sights sadistically teasing the ground. Multiple propeller blades sliced in the air, disrupting the current airflow and causing a tepid breeze to spring up. When the spotlight illuminating the mountain of bodies found me, the other lights joined it, and converged into a single line of violent brilliance. Not long after, one helicopter landed. It was an excessively large helicopter.
Dogs equals search result. Number 61123490. Item weapons/arms. Title MI-26. A large model transport helicopter developed during the same time of the Soviet Union, carrying a capacity of 150 people, capable of flying with passenger planes suspended beneath. Considered to be the most important helicopter produced currently in the world, employed for both military and civilian use, performed aerial firefighting during the Chernobyl disaster.
The ridiculously massive helicopter landed in the town. I recognized the symbol painted on the side. This was "Calling on the Time Patrol," garbled by audio feedback. A joke came from the megaphone built into the helicopter. That's a reference to Doraemon. Nobody seemed to get it though. Huh, that's weird. I thought I'd definitely get a laugh out of that one. A single young man, using a crane, got off the helicopter. Upon seeing that face, I finally realized that I had been wrong about everything. Yes, I had been wrong from the start. This was my problem. No, I felt nauseous. The young man in question looked at me with a satisfied expression and asked, "Well then, a question. Who am I?" No. I didn't want to answer that. My entire body rejected the answer. My chest tightened and my breath grew short. My thoughts, my perception, my comprehension were all screaming no. My dizziness got worse and my consciousness grew dim, as if I were hyperventilating. I wanted to fall asleep just then, just right at that moment, right away. I set my teeth and brushed off the feeling I wanted to run from a curse. No, I couldn't run away. Because this was my problem. The young man who had come over from the helicopter didn't bother to step over the bodies. instead treading over them and gluing closer. Togami Byakuya, I'm arresting you. Byakuya-sama didn't respond. I have the authority to arrest you, so all you can do is be arrested. World domination proclamation, huh? A strike very appropriate of Togami Byakuya. You don't believe in the world much, eh? I can sympathize with that. Byakuya-sama didn't respond. Well then, so these are your comrades? I'm disappointed. This company doesn't suit you, Togami Byakuya. Byakuya-sama didn't respond. It's better for you to hurry up and return to solitude. You should head home to where you ought to be. Hey now, you don't want to come here? Back to your lonely hole in the ground? Byakuya-sama didn't respond. Before you say no, let me remind you that you don't have the right to refuse. From now on, you'll be eating stinky rice in a prison cell forever. You're relieved, aren't you? Your favorite hole in the ground. Your little hole with no one but you in it. Byakuya-sama didn't respond. And about that despair novel. You don't need to think about it anymore. That's my job. As a first step, I annihilated this village. What do you think? So this is who you work for. Upon finally saying that, Byakuya-sama glared at the snake and the staff painted on the side of the helicopter. World Health Organization. The ideal place for my fastidious self, no?
Books equals search result. Number 381175509. Item Foundation. Title World Health Organization. An international organization formed with the goal of helping all people reach the highest level of health possible, carrying on the work of League of Nations Health Organization and the Society of Public Health. It was founded in 1948 as a foundation focusing on international unification. It is commonly known as WHO. Coordinates with dissemination of medical information. Cooperates with each nation in the world to better health. Researches the nature of and ways to exterminate epidemics. Promotes healthy lifestyles. Provides principal support to nations besieged by disaster, war, or are in need of food.
Books had taught me many things, but this time I suspected that the search results were missing something. As one last thing, they should add this complaint. For the sake of health, won't shy away from military intervention. The United Nations, the world, justice, the past. All these things had come to steal Byakuya-sama away. They had come to steal him away from me. The young man continued walking with his cane, and once he stopped in front of Byakuya-sama, he drew a pistol. No one tried to stop him. We were all caught by the snipers. The moment we went to make any kind of suspicious move, we'd be shot in the head. Yes, arrest. Finally. Everything is sorted out. That's right. Togami Byakuya, it's your fate as the enemy of the world to be defeated by the allies of justice. And they all lived happily ever after. The young man spoke in a voice brimming with hope. His name was Kazuya Togami. Nei-san, let's go home together. This time, I'll protect you. Yes. I'd stake the Togami name on it. End of Danganronpa Togami, Volume 2. Oh boy! Now that was a finale, if I do say so myself. That was insane. Come on. I love it. So many just plot twists at the end there. How crazy was that, right? So not only is everything turning out to be a complete fabrication, turns out that Togami Kazuya was his own person after all. It wasn't imposter. So there you go. If you weren't listening to my other talks at the end, then there you go. Now you know that Kazuya is someone completely different. And I'm pretty sure most people don't listen to me ranting on at the end anyway. So there isn't really any translator's notes apart from Time Patrol, which is just a reference to Doraemon. So yeah, here we go. Now, as you might be thinking, well, if everything is just a random what is real, what isn't real, where does that make this not canon? Is this some sort of alternate universe? And let me assure you that all these answers will be answered in Volume 3. And if you want the short answer is, it's ambiguous enough to the point where it fits in, but you make your own decision in the end, basically. As for where it fits in, it's also ambiguous enough to be literally directly before Zero, or literally directly after Zero. Like, there's a couple of things where it's like, oh, the mention of the steering committee in Book 1, but that could easily be the new steering committee that were inducted after Danganronpa 0. Or the mention of Yasuke Matsuda, but Junko could have easily mentioned Yasuke as like a... you can mention someone after they die, it's not exclusive. There's that sort of thing. And then also, don't forget that it was Gundam and Ibuki talking about all this stuff, so it's not like they're the most reliable characters to be receiving information from in the first place. I mean, obviously I know what's going to happen. We're still working on Togami summaries for Volume 3, so you might not expect those for a while. However, we are currently working on making a audio drama for Kirigiri So, which is a little sound novel game, but we'll be turning it into more of an audio drama. So we'll have multiple voice actors, so that'll be cool, working with more people. I'll be playing Kohei Masudaira in that, who is the main protagonist. Speaking of which, I've given up my role of Yasuke Matsuda to someone who is much more of a competent voice actor than me. I'll stick to doing some minor roles in Danganronpa 0. So yeah, and there's also a couple of things I wanted to go over, just so I remember. Was I remember mentioning that I thought the chapters with Suzuhiko and Satomi Aoba in the first novel were all set in Hokkaido, and I said, well, it's a bit of a plot hole how it gets to the Czech Republic. But apparently I was wrong, and they were in the Czech Republic from the beginning, and Suzuhiko even says that in the first novel, and I'm just very dumb. So there's that. But yeah, Volume 3 is going to be... If you liked Volume 1, you're going to like Volume 3. Now, Volume 2 is alright. The final couple of chapters are really good. I don't like the middle section. And from now, I'll get into spoiler territory from now on. So if you're interested in spoilers, then you can listen on. But if you're not, thank you so much for watching. So here's the spoiler section. So I used to like the middle section of Volume 2 before I read Volume 3. Or what you can read of Volume 3. Which is none of you can read it because they're only little private summaries that are held between the Game Surgery group. But we'll be releasing them alongside of the audiobook chapters, so one episode will equal one review. We'll probably release them to Tumblr, Seiko can get on that. So basically the middle section, so the Togami family backstory thing, it was a good idea and concept, but because it's all based in unreality and none of it actually happened that way, it's kind of like, well, why bother making it? I know it's to give the antagonist Kazuya some sort of backstory, but it's like, it's a fabricated backstory flashback, similar to the flashback lights in V3, which are all the fabricated memories. I won't go too into details, but it's basically like, you know, and they even like including Kazuya being really, really evil in what he did to Shinobu. And that also kind of validates Suzuhiko, because it turns out he didn't do that sort of stuff with Shinobu either. So that just makes Suzuhiko a better character and Kazuya a worse character in that sense. I don't like Kazuya. Voicing Suzuhiko is fun though. If you ever want me to do voices for any of the Togami characters, I'm up for it. Like just give me a comment on YouTube and I'll be like, yeah, I'll hook you up with the voice line. I'll give you my Discord or something. I don't go on Discord very often, only if I'm like tagged. But yeah, Volume 3 will be coming soon. It'll be coming after the Kirigiri So stuff, and after we do Volume 3 summaries, we will get onto, maybe I will get onto doing a Danganronpa Kirigiri audiobook for the Danganronpa Kirigiri books, which will just be me reading again. It won't be like the special radio drama style like we're doing for Kirigiri So. So this is going to be very fun reading the final volume for the first time for everybody to enjoy, and but they're going to be summaries, so a translation is going to be full different. And we'll once again, once the full translation comes out for it, we will be releasing proper translation episodes. Same with Volume 2. It was fun doing Volume 2. It's mostly Volume 2 is mostly translated, but like especially the middle bit is mostly fully translated. But yeah, thank you so much for staying with us and watching. Hope you enjoyed. I know I certainly did, and hopefully you'll be interested in our Kirigiri So radio drama. It's a very interesting story. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening, and have a great day, everyone.